I'm going to be reading and talking about the seven seals in Revelation chapter 6. I hope that you watched my video that I just did, that I just finished, um, the introduction to the seven seals. Um, unless you already uh, knowing about the introduction with the scroll, um, but even so, I put some personal stuff in there and a lot of really good scriptures and all related um, about the scroll and what God showed me this morning, and for the new year, a few things. So I hope you watch that first. And here we go with chapter 6 of Revelation. This is John, the disciple John, talking about a vision. I watched as the Lamb broke open the first of the seven seals. Now, the Lamb is Jesus Christ, and he was the only one that was worthy to open the scroll. The scroll, if you know how they had in the old days, they had scrolls to read from and write on. And if they wanted it to be private or for a certain person or official, they would seal it with a wax type seal. So no one could open it until they were supposed to. So that's the way this scroll was. And I talked a lot about the whole video introduction was about the scroll. Okay. Um, so the Lamb was the only one that was worthy, and he broke open the first of the seven seals. Then I heard one of the four living creatures say in a voice that sounded like thunder, "Come." I looked, and there in front of me was a white horse. Its rider held a bow in its hands. He was given a crown. He rode out like a hero on his way to victory. Okay, so there's a rider on this horse, a white horse, and he's carrying a bow, but he does not have the arrow to shoot the bow, right? He has a crown. He was given a crown on his head, and he rides out like a hero on on his way to victory, and the bow in his hand, without the arrow, symbolizes that he's like a warrior, but he's coming in peace. Okay, not with a sword, right? I think now, I can't say for sure, but when I read this at this time in the world, I see this as Donald Trump, because look at, he's preaching peace and safety. I've heard him say that a lot, especially after the election. I think that I've heard him say it a lot because he wants to make peace, with Russia, and he wants a war to end with the Ukraine, and he wants the Israel war to end. He wants to try to negotiate peace with all these different countries. So he's not talking about making war. He's talking about making peace. He was given a crown, which symbolizes the head of a nation, right? And he rode out like a hero on his way to victory. You know, he just was victorious in his election, and here he is coming on the scene like a hero, right? So I see that. I see Donald Trump fitting that as a sign of the times. Um, I don't know for sure if that's what it's about, but I certainly can see that. Can you? I know a lot of people have different ideas. Okay, verse 3. The Lamb, Jesus, broke open the second seal. Then I heard the second living creature say, "Come." Another horse came out. It was red like fire. Its rider was given power to take peace from the earth. He was given power to make people kill each other. He was given a large sword. I see that as Russia, and I think that possibly China could join. Probably, I think that China's going to join, and the color red goes with both of them, with their flags, right? It seems pretty clear to me. Um, if this is truly the last days, you could see this pretty clearly. And red like fire, which is scary and burning people, and you could think of bombs. He was given power. He has power. He's a leader of a nation, Putin, right? Russia has power, and China also. They are some of the biggest nations, the strongest nations in the world, right? And he had the power to make people kill each other. So he had the power to wage war, which he is doing. Putin is doing that. And he was given a large sword, which means the same thing. That's how I see it. Verse 5. The Lamb broke open the third seal. Jesus broke open the third seal. In other words, when he breaks open the seals, that means he's allowing this to happen. He allowed Trump to become president, symbol of peace. He allowed Russia to wage war. Okay, we're on verse 5. Jesus opens the third seal. I heard the third living creature say, "Come." I looked, and there in front of me was a black horse. Its rider was holding a pair of scales in his hand. Next, I heard what sounded like a voice coming from among the four living creatures. It said, 2 pounds of wheat for a day's pay, and 6 pounds of barley for a day's pay, and leave the olive oil and the wine alone. So what I'm getting from that is economic collapse, which I believe that's starting to happen because of all the inflation. And I also believe that it's only going to get worse with the tariffs that Trump is promising, um, and other things. I mean, there's so many things that factor in to economic collapse. And I believe that a big part of that is that there's a new world system, which is talked about in Revelation, um, the new world system, which the Antichrist will be in charge of, and they will have a worldwide currency. So, in order for that new worldwide currency, which is probably some kind of crypto, Bitcoin, or something like that, I imagine, um, or it might just be something to do with your cell phone that anyway, that's going to be part of the mark of the beast, or it is going to be the mark of the beast. So that is being set up, and in order for that to happen, there has to be an economic collapse, because if the economy is great and everybody's doing great, they're not going to accept this new world, one world government. Everybody has to be hurting and wanting something new really bad in order to accept such drastic changes that are going to come around with the Antichrist government. So I see the economic collapse beginning, just like I see Trump beginning in power. I see Russia beginning in wars. I see economic collapse beginning. And talking about famine, if people don't have much money, they're not getting paid good wages. It says 2 pounds of wheat for a day's pay, 6 pounds of barley for a day's pay. So they're just getting enough to eat for that day, not enough to sustain your lifestyle or to get ahead. They're just getting enough to barely get by, maybe feed their family, maybe help feed somebody else. That's all they're getting, just barely getting by. And it says, leave the olive oil and the wine alone. Olive oil and wine would be symbols of prosperity. The rich people, they will have the wine and the olive oil still, but all the regular working class people are going to have to barely be scraping by. Um, and you can bet that a lot of those rich people today will be still living well, the ones that were able to prepare, who have, have built safe places where they can go. And a lot of the really richest people, um, they've made tunnels and have some fine accommodations underground. You can bet on that. And they're the ones that will have the oil and the wine, and they won't be hurting for much, like the normal people that'll be on earth during the war and the famine. Okay, then the Lamb, Jesus Christ, verse 7, breaks open the fourth seal. Then I heard a voice from the fourth living creature say, come. I looked, and there in front of me was a pale horse. Its rider's name was Death. Um, some have called it a pale green horse. I'm not sure why. I didn't look that up, but I think that also would signify death. You know, when people die, they get like almost a greenish kind of pale look on their faces. Um, Following close behind him was hell. They were given power. So the people that are dying, find following close behind him was hell. Most of them are going to hell, apparently. They were given power over a fourth of the earth. So a fourth of the earth is going to hell when the death horse comes. They were given power to kill people by swords. So that's war and violence. They could also use hunger. So there we go with famine. Sickness, it could be another plague, which right now there's X virus in the Congo, um, and they're saying that it's going to be the worst pandemic ever. Plus the bird flu is out there, and a lot of other viruses, but a lot of people, including the World Health Organization, and they might be behind it. Who knows? I mean, with this one world government, they might be trying to make people sick again so that they will come to their knees begging the government for help, and so that they can take more vaccines, which might have something to do with the mark of the beast. Okay, so these are all coming with the fourth seal. There's going to be sickness along with it. And the earth's wild animals will kill. So that part is hard for me to understand, except the only way I can think of the earth's wild animals killing would be that they're hungry too. Because crazy things could go on with the weather without, they might not be able to get their regular natural foods. They might There might be a pandemic of rabies. Plus, even like the zoos. Think of all the zoos around the world if they all let the animals free because they couldn't feed them anymore and nobody could get paid to take care of them. So all those wild animals in zoos are let free, and they're in populated areas where they don't usually have wild animals. They get hungry enough, they'll start killing people. And if they have babies, there'll be more killing from wild animals, right? I mean, it's hard to imagine wild animals going around killing people right now. But that's the only way I can think of it. Plus, they're going to be scared because there's so much, with war and all the crazy things going on with the earth, with the weather, earthquakes, storms, all that stuff. It affects the animals too. Also, people, even with their dogs and whatnot, won't be able to take them to the vets if they don't have any money when times are really bad. Okay, then the Lamb, Jesus, broke open the fifth seal. I saw souls under the altar. They were the souls of people who had been killed. They had been killed because of God's word and their faithful witness. So it tells why they've been killed. So I think that when things get that bad around the world, that people are dying and all, everything is so horrible from all these seals that have been opened that some people are going to blame the Christians. They're going to say that we are causing curses on the earth or whatever because, like I was reading in my part one of this here, I said people call evil good and good evil. That's in Isaiah. So I don't, anyway, at this point in time, people have died. Now, right now, there's a lot of persecution going on. People are being killed in the Muslim world, and just bad people kill good people. You know, um, it's happening around the world in different places, but people are being persecuted for their faith um, and killed even. And that's only going to get worse when the mark of the beast happens. It's going to be they're all going to get, all the Christians will be um, on the most wanted list. Okay, so verse 10, these people that have died are crying out to God. Their spirit is crying to God. How long, Lord and King, holy and true, how long will you wait to judge those who live on the earth? How long will it take to be until you pay them back for killing us? All the torture that the persecuted people have been through, and they're wanting God to, for the wrath of his judgment to come out and put an end to it and get, so that those bad people get what they deserve. Verse 11, then each of them, the martyrs, each of them was given a white robe. Wait a little longer, they were told. There are still more of your believing brothers and sisters who will be killed. They will be killed just as you were. And those are believers who, it's just going to get worse. It's just going to get worse, the persecution. And being here in the United States, we're not feeling it. We're not feeling it very little. In your personal lives, you're feeling it a little bit. But the government's not against Christians. Not yet. It won't happen till the Antichrist comes. Verse 12, chapter 6. I watched as the Lamb, Jesus, broke open the sixth seal. There was a powerful earthquake. The sun turned black, like the clothes people wear when they're sad. Those clothes are made out of goat's hair. The whole moon turned as red as blood. The stars in the sky fell to earth. They dropped like figs from a tree shaken by a strong wind. The Bible, and it talks about the stars falling, and we're having lots of fallen stars these days. If you look at, things are going on at night. The sky rolled back like a scroll. Every mountain and island was moved out of its place. That's the rapture right there. And it even mentions about the fig tree. And that's in the Gospels, talks about, we know it's time when the fig tree loses its figs. That's the season that we're in. Verse 15, everyone hid in caves and among the rocks of the mountains. Those are the people that were not ready, that were scared by the coming of Christ, to seek God coming out of the clouds. If you're not ready, you're going to be scared and you're going to run and hide from him. This includes kings of the earth, princes, and generals. It included rich people and powerful people. It also included everyone else, both slaves and the people who were free. They called out to the mountains and rocks, fall on us, hide us from the face of the one who sits on the throne, hide us from the anger of the Lamb. The great day of their anger has come. Who can live through it? Sounds like Judgment Day to me. So these seals, the six seals are open. I believe they're open. At least those first ones, for sure, I feel like they're open. Now, they're all just starting, though. It's like they're just cracked open, and the riders are just starting to emerge through these seals. That's how I see it. And because the economic collapse is not fully here yet, I believe it's starting. I believe the next pandemic, which is going to be the worst one, may be starting. And all the sorrows that go with all of that. And again, the persecution has started, but it's only going to get worse. And signs, earthquakes, not the big one, but many earthquakes, are going on. There's been several that were 7 in this past year, 2024. There was several earthquakes that were 7 or higher, and those are very powerful. So they're coming more often. And volcanoes, which are related to earthquakes. Do you know that right now there are 40 active volcanoes going on around the world? I just looked that up last night because I saw a couple new ones on the news just the last couple days. So I thought, wow, there's a lot of earthquakes going on right now that are erupting right now. I mean, volcanoes are erupting right now. And so I looked it up to see how many, and I thought it was maybe 10 or 12, and it's 40 active volcanoes right now. And volcanoes and earthquakes are definitely related. And also, what's related to earthquakes is tsunami, right? And you know that there are, if you look up astronomy, you look up NASA, you look up those kind of things, and you'll see that there's a lot going on in the sky, besides the drones. not even talking about the drones. But there's a lot going on in the sky, talking about the stars falling from the sky and all, and so I see all that already happening, but going to get worse, going to get bigger, going to get worse, and so the sixth seal, it's going to get to the point. I believe it's all opening up slowly, and it's going to get to the point where Judgment Day happens, and Jesus comes from the clouds, and people that are not ready are going to be screaming and trying to hide, and we're going to be saved. The ones that are ready, that are looking for him to come, the ones that are happy about these seven seals, we're the ones that are going to go with them. The ones that are not happy, we're not ready, they're going to get stuck on earth and have to work out their salvation for the next 3.5 years until the Antichrist um, comes out with the mark of the beast, and then they're gonna, if they take it, then they're doomed forever. And in those 3.5 years, they can repent before the mark of the beast. They will be able to. So the last I read was 17. The great day of their anger has come. Who can live through it? And that was, I just read the whole chapter 6, and we didn't get to seventh seal yet. Um, Chapter 7, it just said, who can live through it? I'm not going to read chapter 7, um, but chapter 7 tells us who can get through it. It's the 144,000, the chosen ones who are going to be saved and going to go to heaven, and they're going to live through it. Praise God. And they're going to be saved, and they're going to be able to escape that judgment day. They're going to live up to the judgment day. Um, we're all going to have some tribulation, but the great tribulation is when the rapture happens. We're going to be saved from it. But I'm not going to read all that, chapter 7 now, because we were on the seals, and that's all I'm doing for today. But you have to go to chapter 8, where it says, the Lamb opened the seventh seal, and there was silence in heaven for about half an hour. And the seventh seal is a silence, and 7 angels are given 7 trumpets, and that's another study about the 7 trumpets. And that's the 7 last plagues, which is after the rapture, and we're going to be in heaven when the 7 last plagues, which is the worst of all, is going to happen. So right after the rapture, there will be silence in heaven for about a half an hour. What does a half an hour mean? I don't know. I have no idea, because God's time is not the same as our time. So it's probably longer than 30 minutes, though. I will say that. But everything will be quiet for a while after all of that happened, quiet for a while. And that's the time where people are going to start thinking maybe that things are maybe going to start getting better. Maybe we'll be able to still survive somehow. I don't know. I don't know about that half hour. But that's the end of the 7 seals of Revelation um, that are related to that little scroll, and the whole end times and the last days. So thank you for watching. Pray about all this and be ready for it. Prepare yourself and your loved ones. God bless. And Happy New Year again.